Hello students, welcome back to my channel. So today we are starting a new chapter, which is chapter 7, classes and objects, right? So in this one particular lesson, we are going to mainly focus on all about classes and their objects, how to create them, how to declare them, how they are related, right? So let us start. The very first thing is, what is this classes and objects, right? So a class declaration defines a new user-defined data types that links data and the code that manipulates the data, right? So when I say this statement, you might not understand, but a classes is like, have a look at this image. It is going to be like a blueprint. Okay, for example, we have a model of a car or a blueprint of a car. Now using this, I can prepare any company's car, right? It can be Mercedes, BMW, Audi. Okay, so you might say that specification or the different attachments which they have might vary, but to understand the concept, just think that a car basically should have four tires and what are the basic things, an engine, four windows, stuff like that. So that is a blueprint what we have, that we call it as a class. So class will have a general things. Okay, so based on that, when we have a proper data calling a particular function, we do it using the objects, right? So when we say a classes and objects, you can think of it as a blueprint and a product of that. So like if you are saying a house blueprint, okay, so I can have a blueprint of that house. Taking this, I can have a multi-storage building, right? I can have a multiple storage building, I can have a flat, I can have, so basically I should know that what is a main necessity for a house. Okay, so you should have a kitchen, it should have a bathroom, it should have a bedroom, basically that. And looking at that, I can create as many objects as possible, and I can call as many as function I need using those objects, right? So that is basically what is a class and object mean. Now, let us see how do we define and declare our classes and objects. So a class definition is a process of naming the class, data variables, and interface operations of the class. Now, what is the meaning of that? So when I say a class should always have a keyword called as class itself. Okay, so this is a keyword which I'm going to use. And after that, you can name the class as you want. So this is where our name of the class is going to come. Now this name of the class follows the same rule as the rule we follow to declare a variable. What are the rule we follow to declare a variable? So your name cannot start with a number. Your name cannot have a blank space. Those rules, okay? The same thing is going to be followed by a name of the class also. A name cannot be a keyword, such things, okay, whichever we follow in C++. After that, it is always going to start with a curly bracket and end with a curly bracket and a semicolon. So between this, we are going to have data members, okay, data members and member functions. So these member functions operate on this data. So that is what this particular statement means. A class definition is a process of naming the class and data variables and interface operations of the class. So that operations, whichever we perform on this data members, are going to be in the member functions, right? So a class declaration specifies the representation of object of the class and set of operations that can be applied to such objects. So once we declare a class something like this, now I can create as many objects as I need of this class. So once I name this, now suppose this is a name class, then using this name class, this is going to be an user-defined data type. Why classes are called as a user-defined data type? Because now this becomes a particular data type where I can add whatever the data member I want, and I can add whatever the member function I want, isn't it? So user is defining all this. So that is why it is called as user-defined data type. So now I can declare an object as name of the class, and then suppose I'm saying object 1. So once when I declare, what happens is an object gets created here. So when this is the name of the object is going to be, this is of the type this particular class. So what are the data members in the member function that is going to be in this class? That totally depends on how we have declared our class. I hope this is clear, and I hope this is not confusing. right? Now, a class declaration specifies the representation of the object of the class and set of operation that can be applied to such object. So that is what I was explaining. Now see this image, we have a class box here. It has private and public. So this we are going to learn what are these, okay? And we will going to have data members and member function. Always the class starts with a curly bracket, ends with a curly bracket and a semicolon. The semicolon is also very important. Usually students miss out on this, okay? So once I have my class, so what I'm doing here, see, I'm creating a different objects. So what is this object? Is of type box. Now what is this box? This box is nothing but the class type. Since I name my class as box, when I say box P1, this creates an object, this creates an object, and this creates an object. Right? I hope this is clear to you all. So this is how we declare a class and a object. Now, the data variables known as the members of the data of a class describe the characteristic of a class. So data variables always describe the characteristic of a class. Member functions are the set of operations that are performed on the objects of the class. So members functions obviously are going to have a set of code, isn't it? Member functions will have a code, and where do they perform? They perform on the objects of the class, right? Now, there may be 0 or more member functions in a class. This is also known as an interface. Now, it is not necessary that all the class should have functions. It is not necessary. It can have 0 or it can have more member functions. Okay. Now, access control specifier to the class members within a program are specified. This is important. What is this access control specifier? Just now we saw something called as a private public, isn't it? So they are called as a access control specifier. They control the access into the class. So how they are going to do that we will see in detail, right? So as of now, remember that there are something called as access control specifier also, which we are going to mention inside the class apart from our data member and member function. Now, class tag name for external operations for accessing the accessing and manipulating the instances of the class. Now, class tag name we are going to use for the external operations for accessing and manipulating the instances of the class, right? Next, this is the general syntax of a class. So this is important. This might come for 3 mark or 3 mark. This can be a 3 mark question where you're going to write when they ask, write a general syntax of a class and explain, you are going to write this and you're going to explain each one of them, like how I'm going to do now. Okay. A class usually is going to look something like this, where class is my keyword. Okay. This is important. This is a keyword. And this is the name of the class, which is given by the user. After that, the class always begins and ends with a curly bracket and a semicolon at the end. Now, what do we have going to have within the curly braces? So, first is these are the 3 access specifiers which we can use in our class. I can have private, I can have protected, and I can have public, right? Now, what is a private? Private, whatever data or function we are declaring under the private can be accessed only by the class, okay? No one else can use it. Now, protected is also similar, but it can be used by the friend functions or some other functions, but no external access is allowed for this particular whichever member is coming under protected, they can be accessed only by the class and also by the friend functions, right? Next, we have public. Now, public can be accessed anywhere, okay? Anyone can access the public data members and member functions. So we have member data and member functions, and these data member and member functions can be declared under private access specifier or a protected access specifier or public access specifier. Now you might ask, why do we need this? Okay, so when you are writing a program, maybe there are instances when you want the data to be you want your data to be accessed by no one else but only the class. At that time, you can declare it under private. If if you are okay with your data members or member functions to be accessed by anyone else, then you can declare it under public, right? So these are the things which we are going to look into in detail when it comes to inheritance lesson also. But as of now, you should remember how they are accessed, right? So this is the general syntax for defining a class. So once we declare something like this, our class is ready. Now we can create our objects. Okay. So for example, I have an example here. Look at it carefully. I have class. So this is going to remain same. This is a keyword and I'm naming this class as account. Okay. So in this, I'm having private. Under private, I have int account number, character. This is an array of name 20. Okay. This has to be like this. Then I have another array of type character. Then again, I'm having a balance amount as int, right? Now in public, I have two functions, void get data and void display data. Now remember, if at all there is a situation where I have not mentioned this or this, then by default, the entire, all of them are going to be private. This is very, very important, can come for one more question. Okay. So what is that? The by default, the access specifier in C++ is private. If you have not mentioned any access specifier, then by default, all the member functions and member data members come under private access specifier. So here I have declared all these data members under private and I have declared these member functions under the public. So this can be accessed by outside the class also, wherein this can be accessed by only the member functions. Remember, why? Because this is private and this is public. So this is how we declare any given class. Okay. Next. So these are the access specifiers. Okay, so we saw how a class, what is general structure of a class, how to declare a class. Now let us see access specifiers one by one. So we have three types of access specifiers: public, private, and protected. Let's see them one by one with an example. First we have is private. So what is this? A private access means a data member can only be accessed by the member function. Okay, this is important. Members declared under private are accessible only within the class. So if no access specifier is mentioned, then by default members are private, right? So this is what I said. If there is no members access specifier mentioned, then by default it becomes a private. And remember, the data declared under private can be accessed by the member function only, and member function declared under the private are accessed only within the class. Outside class or inherited class cannot access them under private access specifier. For example, you can just say private and under that you have to declare whichever you data member or member function you want, right? Next we have is public. So what does this public mean? So public access means that the member can be accessed by any functions outside the class also, which means inside the class also can access and outside the class also can access this particular member function or data member, whichever you are declaring under public, right? So we have an example here, see it carefully. I have class box. So I have mentioned int length. So look at here. I have not mentioned any specifiers here. So by default, this is going to be private, isn't it? Now, under public, I have int width. Under private, I have int height. Now, see how it is going to be accessed. So in private, I have void set height and height is equal to I. And also I have int get height and this one. So what is happening here? So see here, I have private in here, and after that, whatever declaration I am going to do, everything is going to come under private. Now see how I'm going to access it. I'm saying box object, right? I'm saying this is the object I'm creating of the class box type. Okay, so class name is box, and since I'm declaring this, object is going to become an object of box. Object dot length equal to 10 means I can access my private data members using the functions which are within the class. Since this is within the class, I can access it. Now object dot width is equal to 20. Now width is under public, so I can access that as well. Object dot set height of 30. Now what is this set height? Where is this function? Set height function is over here under private. I can access even that. Why so? Because all this is happening within the class, isn't it? That is why I can access all of them within the class. So mainly you should remember that public, how do we declare it? All you need to say is public keyword and then declare it, do the declaration, whichever you want to do it under that particular access specifier. The next and the last access specifier we have is protected. The member which are declared under protected can be accessed only by the member function, friends of the class, and also by the member functions. Okay, so what is the difference here? This is somewhat similar to the private, but only difference is that it can be accessed by the friends of the class. There is something called as a friend function, which we are going to learn in the further coming sessions or the chapters. So as of now, remember that this is apart from the member functions, a friend also can access this, but outside the class, this is not allowed or cannot be accessed the protected members, right? The members cannot be accessed from outside. The protected access specifier is therefore similar to private specifier, right? So similar to private, but only thing is that it can be accessed by the friend function also. Now, how do you declare it? All you have to say is protected, and under that declare all the members you want to declare, right? So this is like a summary of all this. So what is this? We have the private, protected, public specifiers. Now within the same class, can we access private? Yes, it can be accessed. Protected also we can access. Public also can be accessed. In derived class, now derived class is nothing but inheritance. Okay, when we inheritance, I have a base class and I have a derived class. So suppose I have base class functions under these specific specifiers. Can I access that? So that is what this means. So if it is in private, if we have data in private section over here in the base class, can we access in the derived class? No, it is not allowed. In the protected, yes, we can. Okay. If it is declared under protected over here, then that can be accessed in my derived class. And public, of course, public can be accessed. There is no issue in that. Next, outside the class, if at all there is a function which is of not this class, can it access the private members? No, it cannot. Protected member also not allowed unless and until it is a friend function. In the public, it can be accessed, right? So from the public, it can be accessed everywhere. But when it comes to private and protected, we have certain limitations. So you should remember this. This is just a gist of all these access specifiers, right, students? So that's all in today's session. Hope this has been helping you all in your preparation. Thank you for watching. Take care.